When you're asked in a job interview, what are your strengths and weaknesses? I know you hate this question and you think it's stupid, but I'm going to teach you how to answer it anyways, because it is very important, and I do not want you going on Google to find out what's the perfect answer to strengths and weaknesses, because here's the thing. There is no perfect interview answer. It doesn't exist, because interviews are not standardized. They're highly subjective. What one hiring manager likes, another one doesn't. So the only way to prepare for a job interview is to get to know yourself, because an interview in the most basic sense is a set of questions about you, and the more you know yourself, the better you'll do. And the more you can professionally represent yourself, be authentic and be confident, that's when you get hired, not when you're pretending to be something that you're not. And hell, sure, maybe it worked for you in the past and you got your foot in the door, but how long are you going to pretend? It is a recipe for finding a job that you're going to hate. The interview process isn't about getting them to like you. It's about you discovering if this opportunity, this role, this company is going to be a good fit for you. So please, whatever you do, don't just tell them these perfect answers. Instead, take some time to reflect on what your strengths and weaknesses are. Have you gotten feedback from old bosses, managers, or hell, even your husband or boyfriend? What have they told you you need to work on? I want you to think deeply about the things that you've gotten over, you've gotten better at. That's how you reveal what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then practice them. Get them from your brain to your mouth a couple times, record yourself and watch it back. It is the only way to get better at answering interview questions. I hope that helps. For more tips on how to interview better, get an Interviewology profile, which is chock full of all the questions that you need to prepare and practice ahead of your job interview. And you can also get my book, Interviewology, The New Science of Interviewing. When you're asked in a job interview, why were you fired from your last position? Don't panic. If you've been fired, it doesn't mean that you're damaged goods. It doesn't mean that you're never going to get a good job again. No. A lot of people get fired every day. A lot of people have been in this very same situation. And it's really about how you navigate this question in the interview process that's going to mean everything to your prospective employer. Let me walk you through exactly how you should answer this question. Number one, you should not play the victim. You should not say things like, they tried to push me out, everyone was against me. No. You take responsibility for everything that happened. I can hear you in the comments. No. In a job interview, you take responsibility. And number two, most importantly, you tell me the lesson that you learned from this situation, how you are now braver, wiser, and smarter. Similarly, when they ask you any question about, tell me about your weakness, tell me about a time that you failed, we don't want you to drone on and on about all the negatives and how horrible things are and how bad life is. No, we want you to take responsibility and tell us the lesson that you learned. For more tips on how to interview better, follow me. Get an Interviewology profile to discover your interview style. Are you a charmer, challenger, examiner, or harmonizer? And you can also get my book, Interviewology, The New Science of Interviewing. I want to teach you how to nail your next job interview. And no, I'm not going to give you a script to memorize, and I'm not going to tell you to tell them whatever they want to hear, because that doesn't work. The hiring process is not standardized. Therefore, we don't know what they want to hear, because what would work in one company doesn't work at another company. My name's Anna Papalia, and I've taught over 10,000 people how to interview better, and I wrote the book, Interviewology, The New Science of Interview. I taught interview skills at Temple University's Fox School of Business for 11 years. And here's the thing, what I discovered in working with so many students is that the students and the interns and the clients that did really great in job interviews, it wasn't because they said what people wanted to hear, and it wasn't because they knew the perfect right things or they scripted out their interview answers. No. Interview in the most basic sense is just a set of questions about you. And it was my students and clients that knew themselves really well, that were self-aware, that had self-knowledge. Those were the people that were nailing their job interviews. I wrote a personality assessment that is scientifically valid, Myers-Briggs can't even say that, to help you better understand who you are and how you come across in a job interview. Because we all universally want to know, how do I really come across in an interview? What impression did I really make? In my research, I discovered that there are 4 types of interviewers: charmers, challengers, examiners, or harmonizers. Charmers want to be liked Challengers want to be respected and heard, examiners want to get it right, and harmonizers just want to adapt. To discover your interview style, get an Interviewology profile. It walks you through the impression that you make, your levels of introversion and extroversion, how accommodating and steadfast you are in job interviews. It's a 40-page customized workbook full of questions to prepare for and questions to ask when you get an offer, a thank you email template, everything that you need to nail your next job interview. Follow me for more tips on how to interview better, and you can get my book, Interviewology, The New Science of Interviewing, in English and now in Spanish. When you're asked in a job interview, why were you fired? Don't panic. Listen, people get fired and laid off all the time, and they go on to find excellent jobs afterwards. Having been fired isn't a deal breaker. It's not a career killer. But what becomes the deal breaker and what becomes the career killer is how you talk about it, especially how you explain it in a job interview. I've interviewed thousands of people, and I have seen people make serious missteps when answering this question. Perhaps they haven't processed the trauma. Perhaps they haven't thought deeply about it. And they come into the interview and we say, so, hey, why were you fired? Or what happened in your last position? I have seen candidates cry. I've seen candidates get really angry and start to yell and scream and get all frustrated. I've seen candidates be victims and tell us that everyone else was at fault. Please don't do any of that. This is what you have to do. You have to process all of the emotions before the interview, and then you have to practice this answer. And the answer is you taking accountability and responsibility and telling us what you learned from being fired. Trust me, there was a lesson there. And if you can mine your experiences for the lessons and then be able to articulate those in a job interview, they are going to see you as not just qualified, but emotionally intelligent and capable. Bonus tip, when you're answering this question, make it short and sweet. I don't need to know all the gory details. Tell me what you learned from it, and then move on. Move the conversation towards the future and this opportunity and why you're excited to be interviewing with us. That's it. It's pretty simple. It's okay. Lots of people, and perhaps even the person interviewing you, might have been fired in their past. It happens very frequently. I don't want you thinking that you're some pariah now. You're not. So stop thinking like that. Practice this and prepare, because they're going to ask you what happened in your last job. More tips on how to interview better. Get an Interviewology profile to discover your interview style. Are you a charmer, challenger, examiner, or harmonizer in interviews? And good luck. Do these 5 things on your resume. Number 1, don't save your resume as resume 2024. Save it as your first and last name. Number 2, don't use an objective. Instead, use a summary. Number 3, do not put education at the top of your resume. I don't care where you went to school. Even if you're really proud of it, it doesn't actually matter. The only thing recruiters care about is your work experience. So put it right at the top. Don't make them hunt for it.